We're number one. We're number one. We're number one. The United States now leads the world in coronavirus cases. And in Ohio, utter madness has broken out. We now, let me see if I can get this camera out of the way and still keep it working. I guess I can't. Ugh. Anyway, we now have 1,406 cases, 344 hospitalizations, and 25 dead. But that's not the bad part. That's not the bad part. The bad part is this is the language that somebody actually used in an article on it's NBC4.com, and it's out of Columbus, Ohio. And this is part of the governor's briefing. It said, Ohio Department of Health Director Dr. Amy Acton has some good news for the citizens of Ohio during Governor Mike DeWine's daily COVID-19 coronavirus briefing. Acton compared the coronavirus outbreak to forecasting a hurricane, saying, "We know the storm is coming, but we are prepared to minimize the impact. I'm saying large numbers to you, and I know it's scary. 8,000 cases a day, 10,000 cases a day," Acton said. "Those numbers, given the 11.7 million people in Ohio, are actually not that far apart. They're not that different. I would say to the 2,000 extra people that's probably a little bit different. But it says those numbers are helpful to our planners. But for the rest of us, what it is saying is that we are flattening the curve in Ohio. Those numbers would have been 50 to 75% higher than they are right now. Our curve would have been much steeper if we had not acted starting a couple of weeks ago. If we had not, we were supposed to be one of the most prepared states. Every action you're taking at home is changing how hard that storm will hit and changing when and where it will hit. So the actions you are taking at home are shrinking those numbers." Okay, Captain Contradiction or Miss Contradiction. You're shrinking the numbers. You started with 8,000 and you're saying, you said 6,000 to 8,000, but now you're saying 8,000 to 10,000. You mean you're shrinking the potential numbers. I hate to fall into debate pedanticism, but that wasn't very well stated, lady. So, anyways, yeah, things are bad here. Personally, I am very disoriented. I am sleeping weird. I did wake up at 9-ish this morning, which is cool. I need to start sleeping like all in a row. You know, I'm not doubling down. I'm not being stupid and doubling down on the volume or whatever, but all the isolation is getting to me. And of course, I'm one of the people, like I say, that's got to sweat bullets over this stuff because, yeah, the hand that I got dealt physical health wise is a bunch of spots. You know, I think we used to play poker. I think if you got all spots, you were allowed to throw in your hand if you didn't have a face card. So I might have a jack, and then the other cards match up. But I don't know. I used to play so much cards when I was younger. I mean, I go back to the pre-video game days, so all we did was play cards. We had a game my sister called Screw Your Neighbor, and they turned it into Uno. And Uno was a big thing. I'm like, man, we've been playing Uno for years. We just called it Uno for years. We just called it Screw Your Neighbor with the regular deck of cards. If you put down a 2, your neighbor, the guy next to you, had to pick 2 cards. If you put down a 5, your neighbor had to pick 5 cards. You know, aces was the reverse card that reverses the order. And, you know, it's like some genius took Screw Your Neighbor and made millions upon millions of dollars off it by making specialized Uno decks, if you remember that. This is, Oh man, it was probably right around the time the Atari 2800 came out. They come out with these Uno decks. I'm like, man, we was playing that. My sister called that "Screw Your Neighbor." We just called it "Screw Your Neighbor" was the name of the card game. But anyways, uh, yeah, I'm very spun up in the head, and it's very disorienting, like not seeing anybody. I'm in the SHU, like I said before, SHU, solitary housing unit. I don't see anybody. I mean, I am in true isolation and have been for some time due to my living circumstance here, where I don't want to see nobody in this building. And I got out, I come out of the bedroom after a long wax session, and you know, hardly in my right frame of mind, and I'm hearing people discussing me on the porch. I'm hearing my name, and one person is angry, and the PTSD veteran guy is saying, "No, that's Stephen Barton's stuff." And I'm like, "What the fuck are they talking about?" I don't know. I'm in my underwear, so I'm not gonna go find out. And open the window and say, people can fucking hear you in here. So, yeah, uh, I don't know what the hell's going on. But, day is night, night is day to me. It's like I got to get back to some kind of normalcy. Yeah, it's not good for you. But I don't know what they were talking about. I thought they were talking about a package on a porch because Walmart had it listed that I got my cat dude. I got my cat food delivered. I need to slow down. And I did not get my cat food delivered. My cat will tell you that, like, a lot. Because he's a very talkative animal when he doesn't get what he wants. Which, when my sister pawned him off on me, she's like, oh, he's a very quiet animal. And then I taught him how to meow because he was darkness, man. He was just a shadow. So, with me walking around, I'd be stepping on him. I'm worrying about breaking his bones and stuff. So I'd be like, where you at? We play Marco Polo. I'd be like, where you at? Where you at? And then he'd say, a little like kitten voice. So I wouldn't step on him. I'd come out of the bedroom like stumbling, like half asleep. And I'd be like, where you at? Talk to me. And I taught him to meow all the time. So that backfired. But if he was gonna survive with my size 12 to 13 feet, depending upon what kind of shoes I wear, I had to teach him how to do that, because I stepped on him a couple of times. I'm like, I don't think you can take yeah, cat's smaller than my foot, because I got him when he was I got him when you could almost set him in the palm of your hand. I got him when he was a wee little kitten. And but anyways, yeah, my head feels very strange. I don't know how the future is going to be here in Ohio, and I'm not really cool, man, with this whole corona thing now. And I also read an article where a woman is getting prosecuted for coughing on. See, I lost the article. They didn't have it up anymore. I mean, I could look it up right now, but it just would be boring to you because it would take a second. But this woman got in trouble for coughing in the grocery store, basically. And she coughed on X amount of produce. She was just coughing on food, just walking around coughing. And they're prosecuting her. I have to look that up, but I guess it went viral, and you may already know about it. You know me, I live in isolation. I didn't hang up my sheet over the window or rearrange my bedroom. I've got no ambition. I gotta straighten myself up before I can't do this kind of shit, because it's flirting with depression. I'm not depressed right now, but it's like depression would hit you all at once. It's like you got to straighten yourself out before you get there. You got to take preventative measures. Sort of like putting gloves on before you go outside these days. At least here in Ohio, because here in Ohio, this was unexpected. We expected, of course, to be an explosion. We just didn't expect the atomic bomb. I think the last time I was on here, I quoted 860. I couldn't decide if it was 864 or 846, but it was in the 800s, and now it's in the 1400s. So, that's in like 2 days, and they're, as far as cases, they're predicting, you know, 6,000, what was it, 8,000 to 10,000 cases a day. Uh, these are like non-confirmed cases, you know. They're already talking about the hospitals are too full here, and they're setting up like a New Orleans post-Katrina type of thing where they have like, they take a coliseum or a sports arena and they like set up a medical facilities for patient overflow. So yeah, things is getting real bad here. Um, you have to keep living though. It's like I'm running out of coffee creamer. It's like, yeah, I'm running out of food. As far as like anything but Meals on Wheels. I have a feeling that can't run from this because there's just too much of it around. So you can only limit exposure. Like so far, Stark County is one of the counties that has the fewest amount of cases, but we have 25 cases, and I didn't check the death total in Stark County, but it was I can't even remember. It was 6 or 8 of the 25. It was a high percentage of the deaths actually. Shit, I can't remember now. Because the numbers keep changing. I'm sure you got the same thing going on where like they're changing the numbers all the time. So how do you keep track? I mean, but yeah, if you they have a graph and it's just like I said, it's almost like straight up. They have like the little bars for each day, and it's like so exposure is going to happen one way or another. It's just a matter if you're going to catch it or not. I might have already been exposed to it and just not caught it. I had somebody blow their nose in my house where if you went into like a nursing home and just started like blowing your nose around old people, I have a feeling that they would throw you out of there until you did like a spin and flip and roll if they didn't call the police on you. If you went in there coughing and the person that was in here just looked like they had a cold and just like blew their nose, like, and the way the house is situated, I just left the door open for them and I come out of the bedroom, so I didn't really even keep a safe distance when they were doing that. It was only like 5 feet away, and 5 feet away is really not that far away, and so they're blowing their nose over my food area and throwing a snot rag across the so I may have already been exposed. This person in particular been in contact with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Like that's part of their job. So and we've had the coronavirus here now since I think only the 19th. I mean, I had a video that said it's here, like the poltergeist thing. When I first found out about it, and I think I first found out about it like my aid worker told me we have a case now in Stark County, and we had one case, then we had 3 cases, and now we got 25 cases in about 10 days, and we were like one of the more diligent states about locking everything down, about like being prepared. The governor right now is apparently they've invented some kind of mask that isn't a disposable mask. That's like a reusable mask. So it's made by a certain company, and they just call them by that company's name. But I can't. I'd have to look at the article. I couldn't tell you. It's like Ballotite or something like that. But they want, he's on there like making a plea to the FDA that like we need these masks for our medical people, to protect the medical people that have to deal with this. And it makes perfect sense that you'd want to protect people that have constant exposure. And there's some kind of special kind of mask. But he didn't get what he wanted. I know that. Skimming the articles this morning, but What are you gonna do? The thing about it, it's starting to sink in that like I'm stuck here in this hellhole, and I've been very careless. Okay, I just bumped this a little bit. It wasn't an earthquake. I've been very, very careless about the way I've been treating this place because I'm just gonna, I hate the landlord. I'm just gonna leave it a dump, So like I spilled something on the floor. Like yesterday, I spilled some kind of tomato stewy type stuff on the floor, and I'm like, I might as well not clean that up because I haven't been cleaning up stuff that's spilled on the carpet for like ever. Because I figured I'd be out of here and I'd just leave it to my landlord to worry about. And now it's going to be me living in this sty for God knows how long, probably. I don't know yet. I'll have to talk to the real estate agent guy, Brent, about it. But yeah, I should have treated this place a little better, I guess, if I didn't know I would be stuck here. I'm not even supposed to be living here. I mean, I got the money in the house and then some to pay the rent here and to pay the rent somewhere else. And I was like, I'm tired. I was like, I got to find something to do as a creative outlet. So I went ahead and I bought something called a GNX. I've had a GNX4 and a GNX3, but they call it a guitar workstation. It has multi-track recording and effects, and you can do all kind of stuff with it. You can customize sounds, and you get your distortion and your crunch, and you're not playing through a crackling clean amp. So I found a good deal.
So I want to go back to my hurricane.
That was like 16 minutes ago. I put up that article and they just started playing the audio to it. That was the Acton person that was like contradicted herself and like yeah. She's like, yeah, we're seeing a diminishing of numbers, and then she just said early in the article that it was an increase in projection. Anyways, I was just talking about that guitar workstation. I'm like, I have to find something creative to do to occupy myself. I mean, exercise, not a lot of fun. I do like lifting weights, but I don't. I do and I don't because I have to use my legs when I lift weights, so it kind of takes the fun out of it. I can sit on a couch and do military presses, but you have to stand up to do a lot of those exercises, like the ones you do for your obliques, where you bend down to the side and you rock back up straight and you hold the barbell in your hand, the shoulder shrugs, and I just skipped the deadlifts altogether because, that's just too dangerous. Yeah. So if all I'm doing is like walking, which hurts like a bitch, being frustrated by the amount of weights that I have here, and I need something to do where I can like be creative. And I don't write anymore, but I can play guitar. So I was like, I plunked down like $165 for this guitar workstation thing, of which I already own two. Just they're at these other people's houses that I was wanting to play guitar with, and I'm not gonna bother. One's at my foster brother's house, and when I had that dream that I bailed on that I talked about before about playing guitars with those guys, and the other one's the GNX4 that I got really, really cheap, but the recording studio part of it doesn't work where you can have multi-track recording. You can play bass for yourself and then play over top of yourself. But I gave that away to somebody else. But I got that for like around $114, and it's like, yeah, I'm just familiar with it. I have something here that's what do they call it? Oh, my brain's not good. Maybe I should like try eating. Anyways, can't think of it. Shit. MIDI. Okay, I got like a MIDI effects board here already that's actually worth a lot of money that I could flip if I wanted to, or I'll just hold on to it. But I got like a MIDI board for like $138. They can't touch them for under $350. But I got it because I got this acoustic guitar that that has nylon strings, and that's a whole big thing that you know, if you're not into guitars, you're not going to care about. But you know, that guitar is worth a lot of money. I'll put a link to that guitar. That it's actually my guitar that I own, but the guy's playing AC/DC type tones through a nylon string guitar, and you know, if I had that when I was younger, and I learned how to play on a nylon string guitar, so I've covered this before. You can get away with that, and it doesn't eat up your fingernails because it's nylon. But if you play on a steel string guitar, yeah, bad things happen to your fingernails, especially mine, since I don't get any vitamin D these days. I can still play, but it will eat up my thumbnail, and I just play with my thumbnail, which means I can't double pick, you know, when I strum with my fingers if I ever have to strum. I haven't been able to figure out my technique for years. No, I'm getting into boring guitar talk territory now. Yeah, this is a great video, coronavirus and guitar. Everybody wants to stop talking and get away from the coronavirus stuff. And only people that are into guitar would give a damn. But the point is, I have to find something for myself to do to keep my sanity in this crazy new world we live in, and my crazy old world that I live in, which is living in this building with Stampy and crazy guy and mean guy in wheelchair, and you know, the acoustics in here, and they, you know, listening to her dog, and yeah, I don't know if this is a sustainable existence like this, and I was so close to escaping it. I just needed another month before coronavirus got in here, and I got to have a conversation with that guy and find out where his head is, because he might be a germaphobe. He might be like, this isn't a good idea for you, you know, you should stay put and stay indoors. You're going to be exposed to, you know, you're going to have exposure, and you can't handle that. He might not even be into that. I mean, I don't know. He didn't return my last phone call. The days that he did, like I called him on Monday. He didn't return my phone call or send me a text on Monday, but on Tuesday he called me from 2 different numbers, and I was fucking out of it on Tuesday. I've been sleeping all crazy and weird, so you know, and I got depressed, and I took till Friday to get back to him. So this is a Sunday, I believe. Start the week up tomorrow and find out what's what. I might still be able to move out of here in the middle of this coronavirus thing. Take my chances. But they really have like that lockdown thing, and it might be against the company policy to even do something like that, to take somebody like me with a compromised health and help them move, because you're supposed to stay in your house, and people are only partially observing it, but there's like they're paying attention. I mean, things pretty bad here in Ohio now, like I've already outlined, so they're paying attention. Except for there's scoff laws, like the person that came here and blew their nose, that, you know, they just do what they do. If I could talk a little bit more about that person and not feel bad about it, there's reasons for that, very good reasons. But it's, you know, that's their life. It's not mine to put on the internet for 12 people to listen to. So, you know, what are you going to do? I could tell many, many interesting stories about them. Not the reason why I can tell those interesting stories about my dad and stuff is because he is no longer with us. So he's fair game. I could talk about my Uncle Dave the pimp. He's fair game. Or, you know, my dead serial killer uncle, also fair game. I cannot talk about live people in the same way. You know, it's just wrong. Just to put that out there, even if you're only reaching 3 or 4 people. which reminds me of a Super Dave Osborne bit. May he rest in peace. I think he's no longer with us. He's like, he told Norm Macdonald on his podcast, you could reach more people with this format if you just like rode in a bus and yelled out of a bullhorn. But anyways, the reason Super Dave Osborne's real name is really funny, but I can't think of it right now because my brain is broken and I'm not sharp anymore like I used to be. I used to be a bright guy. Before my brains got scrambled. I can still be a bright guy in print because I'll have time to think of these things. And, you don't want to watching somebody think, or do this or smack themselves in the head trying to, like, work brain. And used to be very sharp. I had nothing to do with the very sharpness except for annoy people. Because people find highly intelligent people and smart, they just put them in the smart ass category. In other words, you're not trying to be a smart ass. You're just trying to point out something interesting to them. It's actually, in my own way, I'm a very humble dude. But facts are facts. So I put that intelligence into writing and writing fiction, and I would also write essays. That I would put originally, I forget the platform I originally used, but it wasn't YouTube, but occasionally I'll still write an essay on YouTube and about something or another. And I'd do experiments like where I'm like, I found out that people like short little catchy quotes. They don't like thinking in detail about something. You're not going to get a whole bunch of likes on something that's this long. But if you write something in one line, like the last thing that I wrote that's been getting a lot of likes was about James Gandolfini, and I called him an oddly sensitive man, the polar opposite of his character, Tony Soprano. And people loved the shit out of that comment. It's like, it says nothing. But it's nice and short, and it doesn't get in the way, But I like writing, so I write on YouTube a lot, but I don't debate on YouTube anymore, where I'm actually like that throwing down with people, and I used to do that a lot, but boring to talk about. But I used to be like, since my name was Pork Frog, somebody would come in there and challenge me. I like staked out this territory on this video called Atheist Bitch Slap. And I'm like, you in my pond now, son. And the people that were regulars that would debate on there and talk about, God, science, atheism, whatever. They knew better. Don't fuck with this guy. They knew better. But then somebody would come in there, and I'm like, the guy's name was, part of his name was honor student. But he was like, dude, I can't watch this. I have, he actually interceded on somebody else's behalf. Like, I can't take it no more. And he had to explain to the guy what I was doing. He's like, just stop. It was like somebody watching, somebody slapping around a little kid or something like that. But yeah, that's before benzos decided to kill my short-term memory and make it a long, boring term memory where I have to like, what the hell was Super Dave Osborne's real name? It's something like Bob Hitler. I mean, it's something like really outrageous, It's something ridiculous. But shout out to Canada, great. Yeah, used to be. Shout out to the Great White North, because except for that Celine Dion thing, you could have kept her. But you gave us Norm Macdonald, man. You gave us Super Dave Osborne. You gave us Tom Green, who's actually a very funny guy. I know he's known for doing like the sucking milk straight out of the udder and being like a shock guy, but he's very creative, very smart guy. So yeah, much love out there for Canada. I'm already done a half an hour of nonsense, but you know me, I can do hours of nonsense with no trouble at all. It's just not very tight, not very sharp, and filled with pauses in your nose these days. Living here has not been good for my brain either, but obviously the benzo thing. I still refuse to accept the fact that a 52-year-old man cannot be as sharp as a 32-year-old man mentally. It's like 52, unless I'm going into early dementia. So I blame my shitty life of the past 5 years and the benzo use of the past 5-ish years, which I don't even know when that shit started. Like I said, the first time I had withdrawal, I didn't even know I was having withdrawal. I didn't know what the hell was happening. I just felt like I was talking to some people that, like I said, under a Joe Rogan video on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, I'm not a drug guy. And like, so I didn't even know I was going through withdrawal. There was people on there. There was a guy on there like that was laughing and about the whole thing and how they had Xanax parties, and he would buy Xanax and and leave it at a bowl by the door, and you just reach in there and it was a game that they played. I don't know. Who knows if the guy's making this shit up or not? I don't know. People are fucking crazy. But you'd grab a handful and then, people would tell you, like, you better put some of those back. But it was like a game they played. And, he was making light of the whole thing. So I had to fuck with him a little bit, Bring out the old evil slapping a kid, rhetorically, Steve, from back in the day. But yeah, I still do enjoy that because you get, that occupies your mind. So I still do a lot of writing on YouTube. It's just, I just don't take it, I don't argue with people too much and I don't take it too seriously. I had a stupid argument with somebody over like, I called, this was a short line that was not popular, but I was like, I think I called, the people do Paranoid Andrew, Radiohead. I called Radiohead the ultimate emo music, and by that I mean like it's such angsty stuff that it's going to appeal to the emo crowd of people filled with self-loathing and just like, you know what an emo is. Everybody's seen the South Park episodes or whatever, Any guy took it the wrong way because that was his favorite band, so we had like a dumb argument over it, which I ended up saying, would you quit being so emo about this? And he's like, well, is Lionel Richie emo? Is this emo? It's like, he's dude, just, I was like, it's a emotional music. The guy is either a wailing or he's just rapping stuff out in utter despondence, like, whatever makes you happy. Whatever you need, it's like, and then he's like, yeah, I don't have a high voice, but the Creep song, everybody knows the Creep song. So, but, other Radiohead that I've heard, like Paranoid Android and other stuff that they've done is like, it's actually, I would call it emo music, just because it's just very angsty, emotional, vocals to it. Ugh, I feel boring and horrible and stupid this morning. I cannot help my feelings of self-loathing. Please do not hold them against me. But yeah, I gotta start figuring this shit out because whatever I'd been doing this last week, it hasn't been working. And I got like stains all over the floor because I thought I was gonna leave, and then last night I set like this. I was eating in bed and I set like this tomato-based I don't even know what the hell it's called, but it's like tomatoes and green peppers and onions, and it looks like something you should be dipping a chip in. They just throw it in these Meals on Wheels, and I set it on the heater, and then I like moved the heater and knocked it on the floor, so it's just like a bunch of tomato juice type stuff, like they're on the floor next to the other stains, you know. And then I don't know if you remember, but I got like the cat took a really foul number two behind the bed where I couldn't reach. I mean, I can't get back there. It's just I can't move this bed. The headboard, it's like would be a logistic nightmare for me to get back there and clean up the poo. So I just like poured a whole big pile of cat litter on top of it, because in my mind, you know, I figure things will work out, because like I've said, I'm very unlucky, but I'm ridiculously optimistic for my mother. So I'm always like, you know, at some point this is going to turn around. I mean, I'll be on a ventilator with COVID being like, at some point this is going to turn around. I'm the guy making jokes in the hospital that you've seen in the video, you know, talking into my phone. That's just me. It's like, so I'm always thinking like things are going to work out. I'm the guy that tried for 30 years to play with two stoners on guitar, because at some point they got to realize that this is going to be fun. We can make this fun, you know. But no, that's what happens is the same old thing. I go over there and want to play guitars and take it a little bit seriously, and they want to just get stoned. And everybody plays their own thing. It's usually the one guy don't play at all, but the guy that's got the immaculate technique and is the most dedicated of the three of us usually ends up playing. And then I'll play something horribly because I'm out of practice, because I need other people to play with. And it's just a fucking train wreck. But for 30 years, man, I didn't give up on that. And at some point, I think having a spinal tumor and having to fight through it, and then having reconstructive surgery, and then having to learn how to walk both times, and then having CRPS and having to fight through that, and really being like a super athlete in my 20s, to the point where I, you know, nearly killed my nephew on a bike ride, which I've recounted on here before. It's like ridiculous cardio and ridiculous strength. You know, I play those games where I'd weighed like 155 to 160 pounds, and I arm wrestle 200-pound plus guys and just hold my arm up there and act like I was bored as a joke, you know. But something turned around in there, because when I was a kid, I was known as a quitter. But then when I was forced, it's like, oh, you want to quit now? You're going to die. And it's like my whole personality changed and flipped around to just some kind of like bizarre, optimistic, never say die type of dude. There's no way I can describe to you. Like there's no way that you can describe what benzo withdrawal is like to somebody that hasn't had benzo withdrawal. There's no way I can describe to you what CRPS is or what CRPS is like. You know, I can tell you, like, I can't wear pants because I can't walk right in pants that are too tight. I can tell you that I can step on a tack and still walk on a tack. I can tell you and show you a picture that I can rip off a toenail and not know it, and then yank it off. But at the same time, my feet hurt like a son of a bitch, which makes no sense. You know, people are like, well, your feet hurt and they're sensitive, but you can't feel, you actually ripped off your own toenail. I'm like, yeah, but, you know, you can't describe that kind of madness to people, and that kind of you know, it's like being from an alien planet, having that. And like when you, like I described benzo withdrawal when on the one video under the Joe Rogan thing as the best I can do is, and it varies from person to person. I should read you that. That was a good piece of writing, and it was brief. But I was like, seasickness cubed with every bit of mind fuckery you can think of. And I was like, never, in capital letters, never take benzos every day, no matter what. Juggle rattlesnakes instead. It's like symptoms vary from person to person, But if you're going to play Russian roulette and you lose, you might be better off. And then I put a quote in there, sometimes dead is better. You know, Judd from Pet Cemetery. I think that's how it went. But anyways, I was like, if you're gonna, you know, take those chances, juggle rattlesnakes instead. I like that. A lot of people like that. And if you're gonna, it's like playing Russian roulette. You mess around with benzos because you might be one of the lucky ones that where you're like, you know, no. I made a point of saying, no one walks away unscathed from benzo dependence. You're gonna feel it, but it ranges all the way from like disrupting your life and making you feel sick to killing you. There's a huge range in there, and it's like, but if it's like playing Russian roulette, it's like playing a game, but except for you're better off with Russian roulette, you know, sometimes because you're better, because sometimes dead is better, just to impress on people like how bad it can be, you know. And I've heard stories that make my experience seem like vacation in Cancun. So, you know, I just talked to, I won't say her name, but a nice lady from the Great White North that said she had a seizure and woke up on the ground from it. You know, and like, I never had no seizures. The worst thing I had, besides the seasickness and the emotional rawness, like in the emotional roller coaster, it's almost like being mentally ill. It's like you can't describe that shit to people. It's like one day you're cool, one day, 1 hour you're cool, and then like everything turns on a dime, and like you're just like in the depths of despair, and then like you're no longer cool, and it's like anything, it's just fucking undescribable, you know. And it's like CRPS the same way, undescribable. I don't know how I got onto this particular segment or what started me on this. I try to like keep track and to keep some kind of cohesion to these monologues. Don't always work, but I've been talking for 42 minutes, and but yeah, I got to figure something out. So I was like, yeah, I'll spend a little bit of money and find something to do. You know, my one couch is tipped up. My guitar playing couch is tipped up on end right now, but I can clear off the other couch. And I have to figure out, like, I need to start sleeping at regular hours. And I've been a little bit lax on my walking. I've had taken a couple of days off in there on walking, which isn't cool. I didn't walk and exercise yesterday. I just like slept, and then I was awake and half awake for hours watching Netflix. Then took my normal dose of Valium with a blood pressure pill, and I slept, and I woke up at 9 o'clock. So today the goal is to stay awake all day, get some exercise in, and eat, which has been a struggle. I'm running out of, like I said, I'm running out of eggs. I'm running out of cheese from my omelets. I'm running out of bread. I'm going to have to, like, hope that the lady that there isn't a bunch of idiots out there that are coughing on food in grocery stores, because I knew that was going to happen. At some point, they're going to have to figure that shit out. You know, if you got AIDS, you cannot be spitting on people. It's assault. If you have, you know, if you're walking around sick in a pandemic, coughing on food in grocery stores, they can't let that slide. Coughing has now officially become a crime. You know, I guess it would technically be a crime what happened in my house. But yeah, I have to look at. You probably already know about it anyway. I'm sure it made the news. The coughing became a crime. That this woman got charged. I just like looked at the blurb. I didn't read the article. So I was like, I knew that was gonna happen. That's why I made that joke about, like, you don't have to be a genius, or, you know, I've been bringing up my smartitude, or, you know, playing the old man used to be. So, I used to be sharp. I used to be quick. I used to know this. I used to know that. I used to be. Ugh, how boring is that? But, you know, like, it's like I joked like a long time ago about like giving my landlord the rent and coughing on him and saying I ain't been feeling too good lately, or just like doing a fake cough in his direction, which I'm quarantined here, I'm not getting nothing. Well, maybe now after the nose thing, but like if you get interaction with a cop and you sneeze in a cop's direction, that's like somebody got prosecuted during the non-corona pandemic era for spitting in a cop's food. The cops are held to a different standard, so I saw that coming. You don't have to be brainiac to see that coming. And the enforcement of it will be interesting. Like enforcing the quarantine or the lockdown here, it's like I have no idea, you know, how they're going to keep people from jumping in their cars. There'll be a marshal. They'll bring out the National Guard. This is some stuff you'd see in a movie. What are they going to do? Like bring out the National Guard in hazmat suits with guns, shooting people on sight. You don't want to extrapolate this stuff too far in your mind. But I mean, this is some science fiction shit going on with this. And like with Ohio, things have really gotten out of hand to the point where they already know there's at least 100,000 people walking around infected and undiagnosed. So why in the hell do I want to I really need them omelets, when there's people coughing on food in grocery stores, and I don't know how many people have handled what and what precautions they have taken and stuff like that. Like I said, if I was healthy, I wouldn't be too worried about it. I'd just be careful. But since it'll kill me and I'm not ready to go yet, I'm not afraid of dying, but I have things I want to do yet. And I have responsibility to a couple of loved ones to stay around. And I got this one person that's like working on a chicken farm. That's their response to the crisis is they want to be self-sustaining and sort of be like survivalists and like dig their own well and have a chicken farm. They're building a chicken coop, and they're going to turn it. I guess they're going to turn into survivalists. I don't know. I just kind of leave that individual be. But I was like, I don't know. You're going to have contact with civilization somehow. I mean, you're going to do like just eat chickens and eggs. I don't know, but people are. It's gotten nuts here. I mean, they're talking about like quarantining the entire state of New York, which you probably already know about. So Escape from New York, the movie with Kurt Russell. The one thing about it is, for me, is like this is an interesting thing to live through if I live through it. But the world's going to be changed forever because of this. I mean, we are not equipped in any kind of way nationally for this sort of pandemic. We don't have the medical people. We don't have the equipment. We got our government begging the FDA to send a special kind of masks. What it is, I don't think they're approved yet or whatever. I don't know. I didn't go too in depth in the article. I mean, if you read all the articles about this stuff, you just go fucking nuts anyway. So, we're talking about setting, like a New Orleans Katrina thing, like I said, where they're talking about setting up medical facilities because of a hospital overflow here, 8,000 to 10,000 cases a day spread. She's talking undiagnosed. The official amount, of course, is of confirmed cases. That's the thing you can have. That's why it's like somebody like me has to be worried. But other people are just walking around, and they're just walking around with it. But then they expose it to other people that it's a wild card. Like I said, it's some people walk around with it and they just have a cold or maybe a little tickle in their throat, and other people end up in the hospital. We've had 344 hospitalizations where people got severely ill from it, and then there's other people that are just walking around carrying it. And I could be one of them people right now. For all I know, I could have got exposed to it, and then because that person did not look well, that was in my house blowing their nose, and these I could I could already have it, and I don't feel good, but I don't feel good a lot of days, so I'm not gonna worry about it. But it is a possibility. That would be the last person that I would want blowing their nose in my house. That's also funny. It's like, of all the people, that is the last person, because they know they're in contact with tons of people all the time. It's part of their job. And yeah. Anyways, yeah, that wasn't exactly uplifting, and I have to do stuff. You have to do stuff. You have to keep yourself occupied. Whatever you can do. So So I'll find something to do today, and I will promise you that what I have to do that's going to be a problem. Make sure I'm pointing correctly. Is there's nothing to hang a sheet on up there, and I do not have any Gorilla Tape to tape to tape a sheet up there. So I have to find nails. I have to reach up. I'm pretty tall, and I got a pretty good reach. I never took my wingspan, but I have to actually. I think I might be able to find my hammer, but I have to hammer nails into the wood to hang the sheet from. There's no, the curtain hook things. There's no curtain hook things to hang a sheet on. I mean, I have reasons for torturing you with this light, is what I'm saying. When I talk to you in the daytime. So, I feel like I've talked very quickly in this video, but my internal speedometer is not right, as I have expressed before. So, hopefully, this wasn't too depressing or boring. And, yeah, I can't help it. I found that I had to do the pimp that stole Christmas because it just sounds too funny. So I never worry about reaction to what I put up. I won't put some stuff up because I get a little bit, loose lips sink ships. I start talking about live living people and their personal lives, and there's stuff going on inside the family that I can't be talking about on here. So I had to scratch that. And yeah. Anyways, before I really make a incoherent jackass out of myself, I best go. And I kept it under an hour. I can say that much at least. Yeah, I promise. I'll make that a promise to get back there somehow and rearrange this. That might be the only thing that I'm able to do today, because I'm going to have to move a heavy air conditioner, dressers, this ridiculous scooter that goes 40 miles an hour. Crippled people scooter. It's almost like something you'd see on Monty Python, where you see a guy careening down a hill in a wheelchair. It's like, why would a crippled person scooter have 40 on the speedometer? I don't know. But I'll have to move all this stuff. I don't know. But I do promise that I'll correct the lighting situation on there for my few listeners while I wring my hands nervously. I haven't taken any Valium for quite some time. But yeah, I don't know what can I tell you. Whatever state you're in, or wherever you're at, that might be worse than what I've been bitching about. I'm gonna call my cousin in Florida today and get that story off him about kicking my dad in the balls. Why he would do that, if it was a spontaneous act, or what he was doing, or what he was thinking. I mean, frankly, I'd rather, poke bears with sticks, but, for fun. But they did a lot of weird shit over there. They were the people that played bee tennis, and would like go into a closed area and take a tennis racket and knock over like a hornet's nest, and then defend themselves with a tennis racket. And they're the people that these are people that are still alive, but I don't think they'd care. As a practical joke, they dared a guy to go out naked and knock over a hornet's nest because they lived out in the country. So, of course, they locked him outside naked with a bunch of angry hornets and nearly killed him. That's the guy I'm going to call here in a few minutes and talk to and try to get that story straight and then find out what it's like in his state. But what I was starting to say is, like, wherever you are, whatever state you're in, you can only, like, be careful and understand, like, if the survivability rate for this is really good. It's like rolling dice. You're not necessarily going to come up snake eyes. You might just get cold symptoms. You might not even have to go to the doctor for it. I'm not going to the doctor over it. It's like I was also doing research on that, where I was reading up on like the procedure for going to the doctor, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to the doctor at all. That's just exposing myself until they get this shit under control. No. You know what I'm gonna do when I get my guitar effects box? I am gonna like actually swab off the outside of the box with alcohol, open it up with gloves, take it out of its box with gloves, and just leave it sit in a corner away from me for a few days, because it doesn't survive outside. I think I can even swab it down with alcohol because of the way it's made, and it'll be all right. Maybe swab it down with alcohol and just leave it sit and don't touch it and don't fuck with it for over 72 hours. And that stuff that the person that blew their nose they came over with, I put on rubber gloves and I picked that stuff up and I put it over in a corner. It's just a bag of cat food, a box of tea, and 3 cans of cat food, which is not 1 can of cat food. And I just put it off in a corner and just leave it sit there and hope that it didn't get inside any of my orifices. So now I have surpassed the hour, I believe. So that's just enough. Yeah. Anyways, I'll talk to you tomorrow, and I'll have that sheet up. That's a promise. Goodbye.